Now, King Charles will celebrate his landmark 75th birthday later this year, but the monarch has ordered celebrations to be small and family-orientated, with the source revealing His Majesty is not given to fuss over such things as it is, but he is acutely conscious there have been many set-piece royal events of late, and his firm thinking is that events to mark his birthday will be minimal. So instead he's going to focus on his daily business on the big day on November the 14th. So, Tom, I know you've often been critical of Charles. Of course, you wrote a biography of the King. But do you think in this case he has actually sensed the mood of the nation?
Absolutely, Dan. I mean, certainly the King's birthday is an important event. But there have been so many legal royal events in the last year that quite clearly he's taken the decision that it's best just to fire the guns 21 times and leave it at that. That doesn't mean that the nation won't rejoice that he's reached his age yet again and will carry on in good health. But no, he's right. He needs to tone down, and he's followed the right advice.
OK, good. Nice to see you. You're praising the King when it's due, Tom, when it's due. Sometimes he does get it right, doesn't he? Look, moving over to California, Meghan Markle has been spotted again without Harry. This time, this isn't a selfie where she's beaming with a hairdresser friend called Katie Lee and the author Cleo Wade. Clearly, this was published on purpose to show Meghan having a good time. It's part of a load of PR that the Duchess has been doing. But it does come, Tom, as this new bombshell report published in the Sun newspaper claims that Harry and Meghan are at loggerheads over how to raise their children. They're also split professionally, of course, with Meghan now apparently focusing on the relaunch of her blog, The Tig. And we did see her flashing. Did you see that, Tom, over the weekend, flashing that little thing on her wrist in front of the Paps? So what do you think is going on, Tom, here? How would you judge phase 2 of the Sussexes' life in America?
Well, Dan, I think this week it's been mayhem in Montecito, part 33. We've had Harry in Tokyo for the first time looking happy in many, many months, if not years, because he's got away from Montecito and he's with some real men having some fun. We have Meghan parading in the deep heat of California in a coat, looking absolutely immaculate and very healthy, and she's clearly lost weight, clearly making the statement that she's back in business as a single professional woman. And as we mentioned last week, she sort of says we're going to launch the Tig again. Well, that's part 93. She keeps on relaunching it. But I do think the Sun story has a lot of truth in it. And it's for this reason. That Meghan and Harry come from different cultures. Harry has never been properly educated. He had terrible A-levels. In Eton, of all places where most students get straight A's, he got a D and an E. When he applied for Sandhurst, his exam was considered to be so childish, the actual paper he wrote, they had to let him in just because of his status. He's never understood education. Whereas, of course, Meghan worked very hard, thanks to her wonderful father, went to an excellent school, and she passed her grades and got into a good college. So there's bound to be a clash between Harry, who knows nothing about education, and Meghan, who believes education is the route to a prosperous life. So I'm sure there's a clash there. But I think the photographs this week have revealed an extraordinary situation. Meghan is showing she's happy without Harry. Harry is showing he's happy without Meghan. So what is going to happen when they finally get back together again at the end of the week?
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? And you just know it's planned because everything they do is planned. And all of the leaks are to show that they're really enjoying doing things on their own, when we know when they've been together recently, they've been totally miserable. Tom, what do you make of these reports that Kate is playing peacemaker between the Sussexes and the Prince and Princess of Wales? Is it true that she's on the phone to Harry all the time?
I think that's complete fantasy. I think Kate has got absolutely no interest whatsoever in reconciliation with Harry, and definitely not with Meghan. And the idea that she would go behind William's back to Harry, who's treated them both so appallingly in both his interviews and his book, is just ridiculous. So that's a story we can discount and discard. But there's interesting things happening in Montecito. The couple are on the move, but they just don't know where to go or what to do. But they're happy alone, and I find that this week really quite wonderful.
Well, indeed. And look, Tom, at the very least, I think what we're seeing is an acknowledgement that Harry and Meghan together, professionally, as the Sussexes, remember, Tom, they told us they were like salt and pepper, doesn't work.
Absolutely. There's a clash of cultures, clash of interests. But, they'll have to one way or another reconcile it. But in the end, what is always an issue between parents is how to bring up your children. And if you can't agree on that, that becomes a major problem. And that's going to be Harry's and Meghan's big test now. How are they going to educate and bring up the children? And if they're happier apart, then some of those who think it could be more than just temporary may well be proved right. But let's see. They're clearly both of them are in the business at the moment of projecting themselves alone. And for that, we should be grateful that there's something on the move finally.
Well, indeed. And it's something that we saw in the early 90s with then Prince Charles and Princess Diana. History might be repeating. Tom Bower, and I know you'll keep across it. Tom Bower, of course, a biographer of King Charles and Meghan Markle. Thank you, Tom.